Västra Götalandsregionen, Sweden, 2013. A healthcare system serving 1.7 million citizens running on fragmented technology from another era. Where patient information exists in isolated digital islands and medical staff navigate a labyrinth of incompatible systems.
Not again. How can we run modern healthcare on systems older than some of our medical students?
I'm sorry, Director Anders. The pathology system is down again, and radiology can't access the lab results.
Get me the IT director and the budget office. It's time for a change.
And so began the journey that would lead to a €200 million decision, as Regional Director Anders called together VGR's administrative leadership to address their digital fragmentation.
20 systems that can't communicate. Patient data trapped in digital silos. Every department with its own database. This fragmentation cannot survive, no. We're running modern medicine on architecture obsolete. Our patients deserve better than the technological defeat. Legacy systems failing us daily. Patches and workarounds barely survive. Legacy systems costing us dearly. Time for a vision to keep us alive. Doctors waste hours on duplicate entries. Nurses can't access the information they need. Patients frustrated by our inefficiencies. We need one system to solve this indeed. We need a bold solution now. A unified approach at last. A single source of truth that will propel us from our troubled past. Legacy systems failing us daily. Patches and workarounds barely survive. Legacy systems costing us dearly. Time for a vision to keep us alive. I envision a future where data flows freely, where doctors and nurses have what they need. One integrated system, modern and seamless, efficiency, safety, and quality guaranteed.
Tillgången till information är ombord bedömdes som otillräcklig även om relevant data fanns tillgänglig. Var den inte åtkomlig för alla som behövde den?
A future where information follows the patient, not trapped in departmental digital walls. A future where technology serves our mission. One system to answer all our calls. No more legacy systems failing us daily. No more patches and workarounds to survive. No more legacy systems costing us dearly. One new vision to keep us alive. We'll build it together. A healthcare revolution. The future is digital, and I have the solution.
One system, one region, one patient journey. One system, one region, one patient journey.
One system, one region, one patient journey.
With the vision articulated, Anders began searching for partners to realize his ambitious dream of a unified healthcare information environment. But visionary ideas often face complex realities, and the journey to digital transformation was only beginning. The seeds were planted for what would become the Millennium Project. 2014. The search for allies begins. 3 of Sweden's largest healthcare regions, Västra Götaland, Stockholm, and Skåne, formed an unprecedented alliance, called simply 3R. This collaboration sought strength in numbers, attempting to share the burden of creating Sweden's most ambitious healthcare IT project.
Welcome, colleagues. Today we begin writing healthcare history together. 3 regions with one vision.
Stockholm is excited by the potential efficiencies.
Skåne sees great value in shared development costs.
Together we represent nearly half of Sweden's population. Suppliers will compete fiercely for a contract of this magnitude.
Excuse me, Director Anders. The Oracle Cerner representatives have arrived for their presentation.
Perfect timing. Show them in.
Good morning. Thomas White, Oracle Cerner International. We're excited to introduce you to Millennium, our comprehensive healthcare information system. Already serving major healthcare providers worldwide and ready to transform Swedish healthcare.
Please tell us more.
Three powerful regions with one shared goal. Economies of scale, a visionary role. Millennium's ready to make you whole. A partnership destined for heights untold. Together we'll build it. Together we'll soar. The healthcare solution you've been waiting for. Collaboration is our strength. 3 regions standing tall. Collaboration is our path. One solution for all. Collaboration makes us strong. United we won't fall. Collaboration is the key. Answering the call. Our systems proven across the globe. Adaptable, flexible, easy to mold. To Swedish requirements and Nordic code. The perfect foundation on which to build. Together we'll shape it. Together we'll grow. The seamless solution that will help you flow. Collaboration is our strength. 3 regions standing tall. Collaboration is our path. One solution for all. Collaboration makes us strong. United we won't fall. Collaboration is the key. Answering the call.
VGR hade en hög grad av virtualisering, vilket påverkade systemets prestanda, då det ursprungligen inte var konstruerat för en virtualiserad miljö. Brist på tydliga integrationskontrakt som specifierar system och komponenter som ska interagera med varandra gjorde det svårt att förstå. Integrationerna skulle utformas. Our patients have needs that may not align. Our processes differ, we need more time. The technical landscape isn't the same. Perhaps we should reconsider this aim. We've come too far to falter now. The vision's clear, we know the how. Together we stand, divided we'll fail. This partnership simply has to prevail. After careful consideration, Stockholm must chart its own path. We wish you luck with your implementation. But will we pursuing a different track? No, we need to stay united. The timeline has already been decided. The suppliers are counting on our word. This setback is completely absurd. Collaboration was our strength. Better to move with conviction than stall with endless debate. The timeline remains our shared mission. Success will be worth the wait. You're right, we push forward regardless. The timeline must be maintained. Stockholm will regret their decision when our new Houston is proclaimed. Whoa. The timeline must be maintained. The timeline must be maintained.
And so the 3R collaboration became 2R, with Stockholm pursuing its own solution. But the seeds of a critical pattern were planted. The prioritization of timeline over thorough planning, a pattern that would resurface repeatedly in the years to come. By 2016, Skåne had also developed different priorities, leaving Västra Götalandsregionen to proceed alone. Yet Anders remained determined to implement his vision, perhaps even more fiercely now that he carried the full responsibility. The stage was set for a monumental contract. 2018, the contract signing. November 27, 2018, a momentous day for Västra Götalandsregionen. After years of planning and negotiations, the contract for a new healthcare information system was ready to be signed. At 200 million euros, it represented one of the largest IT investments in Swedish healthcare history.
Ladies and gentlemen, board members, press representatives, today marks a historic milestone for healthcare in our region.
On behalf of Cerner, soon-to-be Oracle Cerner, we are honored to bring Millennium to Sweden, a proven system used by leading healthcare providers worldwide.
And to lead this vital project, I'm pleased to introduce our newly appointed program director, Lena Bergstrom. With her background in both healthcare administration and IT implementation, she's the perfect bridge between technical requirements and clinical realities.
Thank you, Director Anders. I'm honored to lead this crucial initiative. I'm committed to ensuring Millennium serves our patients and healthcare professionals effectively. The journey ahead will be challenging but rewarding.
Then let us proceed with the signing.
Excellent. Congratulations to all. We now begin our partnership to transform healthcare in Västra Götaland.
200 million euros invested in our digital transformation. A system proven across nations, adapted for our Swedish situation. Years of expertise and innovation, packaged in one powerful solution. Millennium, the future arriving, ready for immediate implementation. This is the moment where future meets present, where vision meets action, where promises turn real. 200 million possibilities, a healthcare revolution at hand. 200 million possibilities, the finest system in the land. 200 million possibilities, everything perfectly planned. 200 million possibilities, nothing we can't command. I see the potential before us, but also the work to be done. Adaptation to Swedish practices, training staff when the time comes. The timeline seems quite ambitious. The scope is remarkably vast, but with proper planning and resources, we'll build something designed to last. This is the moment where dreams meet reality, where plans meet action, where commitment must be real. 200 million possibilities, a healthcare revolution at hand. 200 million possibilities, the finest system in the land.
They don't quite understand what they're buying, the customization they'll require, the complexity they're underestimating. But the contract's signed, that's all I desire. This system will transform how we deliver care, connect our physicians with data everywhere. No more fragmentation, no more delay. Millennium leads us to a brighter day. The contract's expectations are daunting, the timeline aggressive, I see. I'll need to manage their expectations. The weight of this falls upon me. En lagt avtalet ska leverantören sända, står piloten in att säkerställa att lösningen i tillämpliga delar uppfyller samtliga tillämpliga lagstadgade krav som gäller för medicintekniska produkter. 200 million possibilities, a healthcare revolution at hand. 200 million possibilities, the finest system in the land. 200 million possibilities, everything perfectly planned. 200 million possibilities, nothing we can't command.
The ink was barely dry when reality began to assert itself. The contract, drafted years earlier based on requirements from another time, would prove challenging to implement in a rapidly evolving healthcare landscape. And as Lena Bergstrom reviewed the details of what she'd inherited, the enormity of the task ahead became increasingly clear.
These timelines, these specifications, the customizations we'll need for Swedish healthcare practices. How did anyone think this was achievable in this time frame?
Director Anders is asking for a preliminary implementation timeline by tomorrow morning's board meeting.
Already? I've only had the complete documentation for 3 days. Tell him I'll have something prepared.
For 4 years, the project would progress through planning phases, delays, and revisions. And then, in 2022, a significant restructuring would reshape the entire approach. October 2022, a turning point approaches. October 31st, 2022. After years of planning, delays, and revisions, VGR's Healthcare Information System project was due for an overhaul. The original program, known as Framtidens Vård Informationsmiljö, or FVM, was restructured by direct order of the regional director. This decision would fundamentally change responsibility distributions throughout the organization.
Thank you all for coming on such short notice. As you know, Regional Director Anders has issued a new directive. Effective immediately, FVM is being restructured and renamed Program Millennium.
What exactly does this mean for the technical implementation teams?
The most significant change is the redistribution of responsibilities. Program Millennium will focus exclusively on implementing the core system. All adaptations to local practices will now be the responsibility of the individual Verwaltninger.
The local healthcare administrations, but many don't have the technical expertise or resources.
Which is why we're establishing dedicated implementation teams to support them. Marie Lindberg will be heading our new training division.
Hello, everyone. I'm Marie. I've been a nurse for 15 years and worked in healthcare IT support for the past 5. I'll be coordinating the training program and support structures.
With all due respect, this sounds like we're shifting accountability without shifting resources. The timeline remains unchanged.
The timeline is fixed by contract and regional mandate. November 2024 remains our go-live date for the Southern District, with subsequent rollouts to follow. Director Anders has been very clear about maintaining the schedule.
A restructuring order from high above. FVM becomes Millennium now. New divisions of labor, new chains of command. We'll adapt as we always know how. team focuses on the system itself, while forvaltning our handle local needs. It's a more efficient allocation of tasks. This is how we'll ensure we succeed. New names, new roles, new responsibilities, new charts, new goals, new potentialities, but the deadline remains unchanging and firm. November 2024, that's the term. From FM to Millennium, the name has changed, but deadlines haven't. From FM to Millennium, new structure, but the same requirements. From FM to Millennium, redistribution without delay, extension. From FM to Millennium, more complex with higher tension. I'm here to build bridges between worlds, the system designers and frontline staff, to translate technical specifications into training that actually lasts. But I'm still unclear on my boundaries, where my authority starts and ends. Who approves my training materials, and whose standards I need to defend. New names, new roles, new responsibilities, new charts, new goals, new potentialities. My team is still forming, our mandate unclear, but November 2024 is drawing near. From FM to Millennium, the name has changed, but deadlines haven't. From FM to Millennium, new structure, but the same requirements. From FM to Millennium, redistribution without delay, extension. From FM to Millennium, more complex with higher tension.
Genom ett verkställighetsbeslut från regiondirektören hösten 2022 separerades program Millennium från FVMC-tid hade föregåtts av en genomlysning som utfördes av regionstyrelsen.
Who's responsible for integration testing? Who validates that local workflows function? Who ensures that patient data transfers safely? Who signs off that the system's production ready? Do forvaltningar understand what they're getting? Are resources allocated sufficiently? Will training materials be ready for testing? Is this restructuring just adding complexity? I'll do my best to prepare our staff, but I need clear guidelines and time. The system itself needs to be stable before training design can align. Enough with the questions and doubts now. The decision is final and set. Program Millennium's forward, November 2024. Don't forget. We all serve the same ultimate purpose: improved patient care across the region. Whatever the structure, whatever the name, that vision remains our foundation. I'll build the training program from scratch to prepare our staff for what's coming. But I can already see the challenge ahead, when deadlines matter more than functioning. From FM to Millennium, from clear to complex, from centralized to distributed, from cohesive to perplexed. The timeline must be maintained. The timeline must be maintained. The timeline must be maintained. 2024.
Lena, realistically, how much time will my team have to develop training materials once the system configuration is finalized?
Between us, much less than ideal. The system won't be fully configured until deep into next year. But we've been told the timeline must be maintained.
That leaves almost no margin for error.
Welcome to Program Millennium, Marie.
The restructuring created a complex web of responsibilities spanning the program team, local healthcare administrations, and the supplier. What had once been a centralized effort now involved dozens of stakeholders, each with their own understanding of priorities and requirements. Yet through all these changes, one element remained constant: the immovable deadline of November 2024, June 21, 2023. Program Millennium had established a quality control process known as gateways, critical checkpoints where progress would be verified before proceeding to the next phase. The first major gateway, designated 3.0, represented a decisive moment that would establish a pattern for all that followed.
Thank you all for joining this Gateway 3.0 review meeting. Today's assessment is critical for our progress toward the November 2024 launch. Thomas will present the Gateway status report.
Thanks, Lena. I'm pleased to report that we've made significant progress across multiple work streams. Design is proceeding according to the established framework and testing preparations are on schedule.
With respect, Thomas, the report shows that only 11 of the 16 required criteria for Gateway 3.0 are complete. The integration infrastructure isn't ready, and we still haven't identified all third-party systems that will need interfaces.
Those are valid concerns. How do these incomplete criteria affect our overall timeline?
We've analyzed the impact, and despite these open items, we believe the timeline remains achievable. I'm recommending we adjust the program status from green to yellow as a precaution, but proceed with Gateway approval.
Yellow status means we recognize significant risks. Shouldn't we resolve these before proceeding?
November 12th, 2024 isn't negotiable. The regional director has been absolutely clear on this point. We need to proceed while managing these risks in parallel.
Gateway 3.0 on our roadmap today. A critical milestone we need to achieve. Some open criteria, minor delays, but nothing a dedicated team can't relieve. The timeline remains our guiding star. November 24, our destination. A yellow status won't take us far from our planned implementation. Green light with yellow warnings. Proceed while monitoring risks. Green light, despite our knowledge of issues we can't dismiss. Green light, the clock is ticking. The deadline carved in stone. Green light, we'll solve the problems as we continue to move on. 5 criteria remaining complete. Integration testing hasn't begun. Third-party systems we still need to meet. How can we say that Gateway 3 is done? The process exists for quality control, not just to check boxes and move ahead. These warnings should give us pause to hold until foundations are properly laid. Green light with yellow warnings. Proceed while monitoring risks. Green light, despite our knowledge of issues we can't dismiss. Green light, the clock is ticking. The deadline carved in stone. Green light, we'll solve the problems as we continue to move on. Konsekvenser av beslutet att gå vidare fastställs som att det gör möjligt för oss att hålla den nuvarande tidsplanen. systematically plans failure's future seed. The regional director has made it clear the timeline must be maintained. We'll document risks and persevere. The date remains unchanged. Green light with yellow warnings. Gateway approved despite the gaps. Green light becomes our pattern as we fall into this trap. Green light, the clock is ticking. The deadline set in stone. Green light will face the contest when the system goes live alone. We'll track the issues closely, mitigate as we go wrong. Along, keep moving toward the deadline. What could possibly go wrong?
Gateway 3.0 is officially approved. We'll document the outstanding criteria and develop mitigation plans to address them alongside our work on the next phase.
For the record, my team has serious reservations about this approach.
Your concerns are noted and will be included in the risk register, but we need to maintain our momentum. Thomas, please update the program status to yellow and distribute the mitigation plans by Friday.
Will do. And congratulations, everyone. Despite the challenges, we're making historic progress.
Thomas, honestly, how concerned should I be about these open criteria?
Every major implementation hits these hurdles, Lena. The timeline has some flexibility built in. November 12th gives us 17 months to resolve these issues.
I hope you're right. The regional director mentions the date in nearly every meeting I have with him.
Trust the process. We've done this dozens of times around the world.
I'll hold you to that.
And so was established the pattern that would define Program Millennium's approach to quality control. Approve and proceed, regardless of incomplete criteria. The gateway process, designed as a safeguard, had been transformed into a mere formality. As summer turned to autumn, the clock continued to tick toward November 12th, 2024, a date that had acquired almost mystical significance within the program. March 2024, training troubles emerge. March 20th, 2024, less than 8 months before the scheduled go-live date. Training for the Millennium system was supposed to be in full swing. Marie Lindberg, the training lead, had finally received the first batch of training materials from the supplier. Materials that would determine whether thousands of healthcare workers could safely use the new system.
I've been reviewing these training materials all night. This isn't what we specified in the contract.
Let me see. I'm Sophia Bergman, Chief Physician. I've been asked to verify the physician workflows. This is just a translation of the standard American modules. There's no adaptation for Swedish healthcare practices. None of our specific workflows are included.
I know. And look at this section on medication management. It assumes a completely different workflow than what our nurses use. It references role types we don't even have in Swedish healthcare.
This is unacceptable. Our staff can't learn from materials that don't match their daily reality.
The supplier claims these meet the contractual requirements, but I'm recommending we reject them formally.
If we reject them, do we have time to get proper materials before November?
That's what worries me. We're supposed to start training Millennium coaches next month. The timeline is
carved in stone. I know.
I'm still recommending rejection. We can't compromise on this. Oh, I've just received an email. The program director wants to see us immediately.
I understand you're planning to reject the training materials.
They don't meet our requirements, Lena. They're generic templates with Swedish labels slapped on them.
They don't reflect our clinical workflows at all.
If we reject them, we'll need new materials. That means delays. And delays mean
the timeline.
Exactly. The regional director just reconfirmed November 12th in yesterday's steering committee. It cannot change.
But how can we train people with materials that don't match how they'll actually use the system?
We'll need to supplement the materials ourselves. Marie, your team will need to customize them. Sophia, we'll need clinicians to help verify the content.
My team is already stretched thin. We don't have the resources to completely rewrite these materials.
And our clinicians are already working overtime. When are they supposed to do this?
I understand the challenges, but we must find a way. The timeline must be maintained.
Staring at screens that don't match the manual, training materials lost in translation, generic templates from another nation. How can I teach what I barely understand? They expect miracles in 8 months' time, transforming staff with materials sublime. But all I have is this broken guide and a deadline that can't be denied. I can't log into this impossible task. I can't log in to what they're asking. System unstable, materials unusable, timeline unmovable, mission improbable. I can't log in.
Physicians need clarity, not confusion. Patients rely on our expertise. But how can we learn with such poor instruction? Safety demands proper preparation. They want us ready by fall, but the system's not stable at all. How can we train for workflows unknown, for interfaces not yet shown? I can't log in to this impossible task. I can't log in to what they're asking. System unstable, materials unusable, timeline unmovable, mission improbable. I can't log in. I utvärderingar framfördes det, att ansvaret placerades på den anställda, att själv skapa tid för att genomföra utbildningen, trots att vissa avdelningar fick extra tid avsatt för utbildningen. Upplevde medarbetare att tiden fortfarande inte räckte till.
The test environment doesn't match production. The login credentials keep expiring. The screens are different from the instructions. How can anyone learn in these conditions?
We need to stand firm and reject these guides. Demand materials properly designed. Patient safety must be our priority, not arbitrary dates and false security.
I hear your concerns and share your frustration, but November's deadline is our obligation. We'll adapt and adjust as we always do. The timeline must be maintained, it's true.
We can't log in to this impossible task. We can't log in to what they're asking. System unstable, materials unusable, timeline unmovable, mission improbable. We can't log in. We can't log in.
If we can't delay the timeline, we at least need more resources. We need dedicated clinicians, more training staff, and extended preparation time for the Millennium coaches.
And we need to be honest with the organization about the state of the training. If people go in expecting a polished experience, they'll be disappointed and frustrated.
I'll see what I can do about resources, but I need you both to make this work. The entire project depends on successful training.
That's exactly our point, Lena. The project's success depends on proper training, which depends on proper materials, which depends on a stable system. All of these things need time.
Time is the one resource we don't have. Do what you can with what we have. And Marie?
Yes?
Officially reject the materials, but make it clear in your documentation that we'll be proceeding with local adaptations rather than waiting for new deliveries. That gives us leverage with the supplier while still maintaining the timeline.
Understood.
On March 20th, 2024, VGR officially rejected the training materials provided by the supplier. This contractual dispute would remain unresolved even as training began, forcing Marie's team to develop supplementary materials on the fly. Meanwhile, concerns began to spread among the medical community, leading to increasingly public expressions of alarm. September 30th, 2024. The warnings grow louder. September 30th, 2024, 6 weeks before the scheduled launch of Millennium. As training sessions revealed more issues with the system, physicians at Södra Älvsborg sjukhus took an unprecedented step. Led by Dr. Sofia Bergman, they published a formal warning about the implementation through their medical association.
It's published. Läkarfacket på SYS vill bromsa Millennium innan det kraschar. The Medical Association wants to put the brakes on Millennium before it crashes.
Do you think management will listen now that we've gone public?
They have to. We've documented clear patient safety risks. The system isn't ready. The training is insufficient. And we're being rushed into implementation without proper preparation.
I heard they're still fixing critical functions even now, just weeks before go live.
Exactly. How can we train on a system that's still changing? How can we trust it with patient care?
Sophia, the regional director's office is calling. They're demanding an explanation for this unauthorized communication.
Unauthorized? We have both a professional and ethical obligation to speak up when patient safety is at risk.
I agree with you, but be prepared. They're framing this as resistance to change, rather than legitimate concern.
Then they're not listening to what we're actually saying.
This publicity is extremely damaging to the program. These physicians are undermining years of work and investment.
I understand your frustration, Director, but perhaps we should address their specific concerns.
Their concerns are based on incomplete information. They're seeing a system in development, not the final product.
This kind of resistance is normal in major implementations. Healthcare professionals are naturally conservative about change.
Still, the fact that they felt compelled to go public suggests our internal communication channels might not be adequate.
The timeline cannot change, Lena. November 12th is fixed. Find a way to manage this situation without impacting our schedule.
Until the system goes live, but the training's incomplete. Functions still missing, workflows untested, and management won't concede. We've raised concerns in every meeting, filed reports by the score, but all we hear is stick to the timeline, as if dates matter more. So now we've put it in writing for everyone to see. This isn't about resistance to change, it's about patient safety. This is the warning we wrote when no one would listen inside, when concerns were pushed module's unstable. The alert system's unreliable. Lab integration isn't functional, yet we're told it's all manageable. We're asked to train on phantom functions, on workflows still being designed, to trust that problems will be resolved by some unspecified time. So now we've made it public, our professional assessment clear. This deadline is a danger to the patients we hold dear. This is the warning we wrote when no one would listen inside, when concerns were pushed aside. This is the warning we wrote when timelines trumped patient care. This is the warning we wrote because someone needs to dare. Den grad av förändring som Millennium innebar krävde mer stöd och engagemang än vad som ursprungligen planerades, vilket resulterade i att förändringsledningen inte var tillräcklig. They don't understand the bigger picture. They only see their small domain. Change is always uncomfortable. Their resistance is just pain. We've seen this in every implementation. The doctors always push back. Just manage their expectations. Keep the program on track. But what if they're actually right? What if the system's not ready to fly? What if we need more time to prepare? Can we afford to not be aware? We took an oath to do no harm. Our warning is our sacred duty. We will not be silenced or dismissed when lives hang in the balance truly. This is the warning we wrote when no one would listen inside, when concerns were pushed aside. This is the warning we wrote when timelines trump patient care. This is the warning we wrote because someone needs to dare. 6 weeks remaining, the clock ticks down. Will anyone hear our call? Or will they charge ahead regardless and wait for the system to fall? This is the warning we wrote when timelines trump patient care. This is the warning we wrote because someone needs to dare. 6 weeks remaining, the clock ticks down. Will anyone hear our call? Or will they charge ahead regardless and wait for the system to fall?
These physicians need to understand their role. They're meant to use the system, not evaluate its readiness.
With respect, Director, they're raising legitimate clinical concerns. If there are patient safety risks,
There are always risks in any major change. That's why we have mitigations and contingency plans. The timeline must be maintained.
We've seen this pattern in other implementations. The most vocal critics often become the system's biggest champions once they see it in action.
I hope you're right, but I'm concerned that dismissing these warnings outright might be a mistake.
Your concern is noted, Lena. Now focus on finalizing the go-live preparations. We can address any remaining issues during the hypercare period after launch.
By October 24th, the warnings had intensified. The Regional Medical Association published a stronger statement titled Vigere oss inte, Millennium must stop us. We won't give up. Millennium must be stopped. Letters from concerned clinicians reached program leadership and regional politicians. Yet these warnings were consistently characterized as resistance to change rather than substantive concerns. As the clock ticked toward November, the program made its final preparations for what would be a defining moment in Swedish healthcare digitalization. October 24, 2024. The final gateway. October 24, 2024, just 19 days before the scheduled go-live date. Program Millennium had reached its final major quality checkpoint, Gateway 5, known as Activate. This gateway was designed to verify that all systems, integrations, and training were complete and ready for implementation. The program steering committee gathered to review the progress report.
Welcome, everyone. Today, we review Gateway 5, our final major checkpoint before go-live. This is our last opportunity to comprehensively assess our readiness for November 12th. Thomas will present the Gateway report.
Thank you, Lena. The Gateway 5 report shows considerable progress across all program areas. We've completed 11 of the 29 required criteria.
Only 11 of 29? That's just 38% completion with less than 3 weeks to go.
Many of the remaining items are minor or have mitigations in place. We've categorized them by severity. 6 are classified as very serious, 7 as medium serious, and 5 as less serious.
6 very serious unresolved issues. What exactly are they?
The most critical ones involve integration testing with radiology systems, medication, module stability, performance testing, and user access configuration.
These are concerning, but we need to consider the alternatives. Delaying at this point would mean rescheduling thousands of training sessions, reconfiguring technical resources, and renegotiating contracts.
Isn't that preferable to implementing a system that isn't ready?
The timeline must be maintained. We've invested years and hundreds of millions in this project. More importantly, we've committed the entire organization to this date.
There's another issue we should discuss, our implementation strategy. The Big Bang approach means all functions and all locations go live simultaneously. Given these open issues, should we consider a more phased approach?
Changing the implementation strategy this late would create more problems than it solves. The system is designed to work as an integrated whole.
But surely launching with limited functionality in a controlled environment would be safer than risking all functions at once.
The decision was made long ago. We proceed with the full implementation as planned. The timeline must be maintained.
Solution, a complete integration, one system for all functions, the ultimate transformation, not piece by piece or step by step, but a unified implementation. Millennium in its entirety, a healthcare constellation. The Big Bang approach is proven, tested across the globe, all systems simultaneously, the most efficient mode. All at once, we launch it all. Every system, every ward. All at once, the Big Bang Theory. No gradual, cautious start. All at once, no turning back. No controlled experimental phase. All at once, on one fixed date. Watch our healthcare world transform. Criteria remain incomplete, 6 issues labeled severe. Performance testing still pending and integrations unclear. The system's highly complex with countless interdependencies. A phased approach could mitigate the risk we clearly see. A gradual implementation would identify problems early on, limiting potential damage before too far we've gone. All at once, we launch it all. Every system, every ward. konsekvensen i förlängningen blev att anestesi och intensivvårdsavdelningen valde att inte använda Millennium då systemet inte motsvarade deras behov.
When a patient's life hangs in balance, we don't experiment recklessly. We test, observe, adjust, and proceed with caution and humility. 11 criteria complete of 29, that's all we've managed to achieve. And yet we're rushing headlong into what we can barely conceive. The contract specifies Big Bang. The timeline has been set in stone. November 12 is coming. Ready or not, it's happening.
Can we afford to reconsider? Is there still time to change our course? Or are we locked into this path, no matter what the cost? All at once, we launch it all. Every system, every ward. All at once, the Big Bang Theory. No gradual, cautious start. All at once, no turning back. No controlled experimental phase. All at once, on one fixed date. Watch our healthcare world transform. We've come too far to alter course. The plan was set long ago. The timeline must be maintained. There's only one way to go. Gateway 5 approved to today. Despite the incomplete state, November 12 approaches. The Big Bang cannot wait.
Based on today's discussion and the Gateway report, we need to make a decision about proceeding to the final pre-launch phase.
For the record, my team has serious reservations. Launching with 6 very serious unresolved issues is extremely risky.
As do the clinical teams. The physician warnings weren't arbitrary. They were based on exactly these kinds of issues.
Your concerns are noted and will be included in the risk register, but we will proceed. Gateway 5 is approved, with mitigations to be tracked daily until go live.
The decision is recorded. Gateway 5 is approved. We will document all outstanding criteria and create detailed mitigation plans for the severe issues.
We'll have teams working around the clock to close as many gaps as possible before November 12th.
Meeting adjourned. Everyone focus all efforts on final preparations.
With Gateway 5 approved despite only 38% completion, the final countdown to launch began in earnest. The decision to proceed with the Big Bang implementation approach, launching all functions at all locations simultaneously, amplified both the complexity and the risk. As technical teams worked frantically to resolve the most critical issues, the program leadership prepared for one final approval that would seal the project's fate. November 7th, 2024, 5 days before launch. November 7th, 2024, 5 days before the scheduled launch of Millennium. Despite numerous unresolved issues and public warnings from physicians, Program Millennium reached its final milestone, the signing of the Go Live Production Approval document. This formality would certify that the system was ready for implementation, regardless of its actual state.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for gathering on such short notice. Today represents the culmination of years of work and hundreds of millions in investment.
Indeed. The Go Live production approval is the final formal checkpoint before launch. Once signed, all systems are officially deemed ready for implementation.
I've reviewed the readiness assessment. There are still 11 high-priority issues unresolved, including integration problems with radiology systems and performance concerns.
Every major system has minor issues at launch. That's what the hypercare period is for.
Some of these aren't minor, Director. The physician groups have raised serious concerns about patient safety,
which we've addressed through mitigation plans. Our technical teams will be monitoring all critical systems 24/7 during the initial implementation period.
The decision has been made, Lena. The board expects the system to launch on November 12th as planned. Political considerations are also at play. We cannot appear indecisive after such significant investment.
I understand, but
The timeline must be kept. Do you have the approval document ready?
Of planning, 200 million spent. November 12th approaches, our resolve cannot relent. The board is watching closely, the politicians wait. The timeline must be kept now, we cannot hesitate. Sign your name, make it official, no turning back, the die is cast. Sign your name, seal our commitment, the future starts, the past is past. The timeline must be kept, the date carved into stone. The timeline must be kept, too much invested to postpone. The timeline must be kept, the wheels are set in motion. The timeline must be kept, despite each complication. Every implementation faces challenges at start. The system learns and grows as users play their part. The hypercare will catch issues as they arise. This is standard procedure, there should be no surprise. Sign your name, make it official. The contract states the path is clear. Sign your name, my company's waiting. Your signature will calm all fear. The timeline must be kept, the date carved into stone. The timeline must be kept, too much invested to postpone. The timeline must be kept, the wheels are set in motion. The timeline must be kept, despite each complication. Vid tiden för Go-Liver kvar står fortfarande 11 höga testavikelser, vilket ligger över gränsen för acceptanskriterierna. 11 high priority issues unresolved. Gateway 5 with criterion complete. Physicians' warnings formally documented, yet here we stand, about to make this leap. My signature will authorize this launch, though doubts still shadow every certainty. What happens when the system goes live, with problems we already clearly see? Your concerns are noted, your doubts recorded, but the course was set long ago. The political will cannot be thwarted. Now sign the form and let us go. These fears are normal, I've seen them before. The resistance always peaks right at the end. Trust in the system, trust in the process. This signature is merely a formality, my friend. The timeline must be kept, the date carved into stone. The timeline must be kept, too much invested to postpone. The timeline must be kept, the wheels are set in motion. The timeline must be kept, the point of no return has come. With trembling hand I sign my name, and pray this choice won't end in shame. The timeline must be kept.
it's done. I've signed the approval.
Excellent. I'll have our CEO countersign immediately. We're officially ready for launch.
Perfect. The regional board will be pleased to hear we're proceeding on schedule. We should prepare the official announcement.
What about the contingency plans? If critical issues arise during implementation?
We have the hypercare teams in place. Any issues will be addressed as they arise. This is a historic moment for healthcare in our region, Lena. Try to appreciate it.
I hope we're making the right decision.
Millennium has been implemented successfully around the world. There's nothing to worry about.
Then it's settled. We launch at 4 a.m. on November 12th. All departments have been notified and the cutover teams are prepared. This will be a defining moment for VGR.
With the approval document signed, the final barrier to implementation was removed. The decision made in that executive office would have profound consequences for thousands of healthcare workers and their patients. In less than 5 days, Millennium would go live across the southern district of VGR, ready or not. The point of no return had been reached, and the countdown to launch had begun in earnest.
System launch sequence initiated. Countdown to Millennium implementation. 5 days, 0 hours, 0 minutes.
End of Act 2. November 12th, 2024, 3:30 a.m. Command Center, Södra Älvsborgs sjukhus. After years of planning, development, and controversy, the moment of truth had arrived. Technical teams gathered in the early morning darkness to execute the final steps before Millennium went live at 4 a.m.
Final systems check, database migration,
complete and verified.
User permissions,
loaded. Some inconsistencies in the physician profiles, but we can fix those post-launch.
Integration services?
We're seeing irregular response times from the Multum servers. Load balancing isn't distributing properly.
What? Check the configuration. That should have been resolved days ago.
I'm running diagnostics now. It appears the servers aren't communicating properly. CPU utilization is spiking on the primary node.
Get Thomas and Lena down here now. We have a serious problem.
What's happening? We're supposed to go live in 15 minutes.
This shouldn't be happening. The server configuration was tested and approved last week.
Well, it's happening now. The Multum servers for the medication module aren't load balancing correctly. If we launch now, the system will crash as soon as multiple users try to access medication records.
Then we delay? How long do you need?
I can't say for certain. We need to identify if this is a configuration issue or something deeper.
Let me get our database team on a call. This is probably just a minor setting that got changed during the final migration.
Everyone, listen up. Launch is delayed. I need a clear assessment of the problem and estimated time to resolution. We need to communicate this to the hospital coordinators immediately.
In the command center, the culmination of 6 years' work. Load balancers failing on the servers in the system's most critical part. 4 a.m. approaching rapidly, the go-live moment drawing near, but the system showing warning signs that we can't afford to ignore or fear. 90 minutes late is better than a total system crash. 90 minutes late is better than a catastrophic clash. 90 minutes late, the countdown clock now frozen in its place. 90 minutes late, as we scramble to recover grace. 90 minutes late, with thousands waiting for the switch to flip. 90 minutes late, the first crack in our well-constructed script. This is just a minor setback, a common issue in every go-live. The system's working as designed. Just one component needs to revive. Get my team on the conference line. This will be resolved in no time at all. Just a setting that needs adjusting, not a reason to sound the alarm call. 9 minutes late, a barely noticeable delay. 90 minutes late, nothing that we can't explain away. 90 minutes late, the countdown clock now frozen in its place. 90 minutes late, as we scramble to recover grace. 90 minutes late, with thousands waiting for the switch to flip. 90 minutes late, the first crack in our well-constructed script. Kunde, kunde. samhällets att minst 2 servrar fungerade utan aktiverad lastbalansering. Is this a warning we should heed? A sign we shouldn't proceed? If we're having problems now, before the system's even allowed to face the weight of real-world use, are we setting ourselves up to lose? Doctors are arriving for their shifts, nurses preparing for handovers, patients waiting for morning rounds. Do they know the system that underpins every aspect of their care today is already showing signs of strain? We'll need to run with just 1 server, no load balancing as a safeguard. Monitor the CPU use closely and pray the system doesn't hit too hard. It's far from ideal, but it's our only choice if we're going to maintain the timeline's voice. 90 minutes late, the first sign that something isn't right. 90 minutes late, but the train has left, there's no strike. 90 minutes late, just the first of many problems to come. 90 minutes late, as the countdown to failure has begun. Decision time has arrived. 5:30 a.m. Do we proceed? 1 server instead of 2. Is it enough for what we need? The system's stable enough. Server load is only at 30%. We can monitor and adjust. As the day progresses, there's no lament. The decision isn't technical anymore. It's about the momentum we can't ignore. 90 minutes late, but the timeline must be maintained.
I think I've isolated the issue. The failover configuration for the Multum servers wasn't properly activated. We can proceed with a single server for now, but we'll have no redundancy.
That's risky. If that single server fails, the entire medication module goes down.
What's the server load looking like?
Currently at 12% with our test data. Even under simulation, it never exceeded 30%.
Then we proceed. 1 server can handle the load until we fix the configuration.
Are you sure? What happens if it fails during critical medication administration?
We'll have technical staff monitoring it 24/7. If we see the load approaching 70%, we can implement emergency protocols.
It could work, assuming usage patterns follow our projections.
All right. We proceed with launch at 5:30 a.m., 90 minutes late, but still on launch day. Prepare the announcement to all departments. Attention, all departments preparing for Millennium Go Live. Due to technical adjustments, system activation will occur at 5:30 a.m. instead of 4 a.m. Please continue your preparations as planned. The cutover team will provide further instructions to department coordinators.
Command Center. We're getting the first reports from floor managers. They're asking for login instructions.
Direct them to the Millennium coaches. Every department should have at least 2 on the floor by now.
Support desk is already logging the first tickets. 23 in the queue already, mostly access issues.
That's normal. Users trying to log in before receiving proper credentials.
Make sure the support desk is properly triaging those issues. Critical clinical functions take priority.
We're seeing irregular patterns in the radiology integration. The test messages aren't being properly formatted.
The integration team is already working on it. That's what the hypercare period is for.
How many tickets now?
47, 62. It's increasing rapidly.
Keep me updated. I need hourly reports on ticket volume and categories. Let's get through this first day.
By 2 p.m., just 8 hours after Millennium went live, the command center was tracking 223 open incidents. While the technical teams characterized these as expected launch issues, frontline healthcare workers were beginning to feel the impact. The most serious problems involved medication management, patient scheduling, and data visibility. Yet despite these early warning signs, program leadership remained optimistic.
Lena, I've just been speaking with the regional board. They're pleased we've launched on schedule, despite the small delay this morning.
We're facing some challenges, Director. The support ticket queue is growing faster than our teams can resolve issues.
Launch day jitters. Every major implementation faces them. What matters is that we've met our commitment. Millennium is live.
For now.
What was that?
He's just concerned about server stability. We're monitoring it closely.
Excellent. Keep me updated, but don't overreact to minor issues. This is a historic day for healthcare in our region.
223 isn't minor.
And tomorrow will be worse once the system faces full patient load.
The pattern is typical. Day 1 sees configuration and access issues. Day 2 stabilizes. By day 3, we'll be capturing only edge cases.
I hope you're right.
We're getting multiple urgent calls from the emergency department. They can't access patient medication histories.
Prioritize those immediately. Medication access is critical.
I'll get our medication module specialists on it right away.
As the first day with Millennium drew to a close, the system remained operational, technically. But beneath the surface, problems were multiplying faster than solutions. The 90-minute delay that morning had been just the first sign of trouble. Day 2 would bring even greater challenges. As the true scale of the implementation's problems began to emerge. November 13th, 2024. Day 2. November 13th, 2024. Day 2 of the Millennium implementation. As morning rounds began across Södra Älvsborgs sjukhus, the initial technical difficulties had compounded rather than resolved. Overnight, the support ticket count had risen from 223 to 425, and frontline healthcare workers were beginning to face critical workflow disruptions.
This is impossible. I can't access any of my patients' medication histories. How am I supposed to conduct rounds?
We're having the same problem in pediatrics. The system keeps timing out when we try to document vital signs.
Have you reached the support desk?
I've been on hold for 20 minutes. They're completely overwhelmed.
Where are those Millennium coaches we were promised?
I'm here. I've been running between 3 departments since 5 a.m. What do you need?
Basic functionality would be nice. I can't see half my patients in the system, and for the ones I can see, their medication histories are missing.
Let me try something. The workaround we discovered last night was to access the medication history through the lab results module instead of directly.
That makes no logical sense, but I'll try anything at this point.
It's not working now. They must have changed something in the overnight update.
This is beyond frustrating. It's becoming dangerous. I need to alert the department head.
Current status report, ticket count is at 483 and rising. Most critical issues involve medication module access, remission handling, and scheduling functionality.
What's the distribution by severity?
112 are classified as high priority, 241 as medium, and the rest as low.
That's not unexpected for day 2. We're resolving them as fast as they come in.
Actually, we're closing about 60 tickets per hour, but receiving 75 new ones. The backlog is growing.
What about the radiography integration issue from yesterday?
We've implemented a partial fix, but the text formatting problem persists. Some reports are still showing incomplete data.
That's unacceptable. Radiologists need complete data to make diagnoses.
We have a team working exclusively on that issue. It's our top priority.
Command Center. Yes, Doctor. I understand. We'll escalate it immediately. Emergency department reports they're reverting to paper charts. They say the system is too slow to use during trauma cases.
Authorize the fallback protocol. Get paper forms to all critical departments as a contingency.
That will only slow adoption and create data reconciliation issues later.
Patient safety comes first, Thomas.
Waiting, millions spent for a system that can't find my patients. Login errors, missing data, medication. Patient history's gone without explanation. Where are the charts I need to see? The lab results from yesterday. How am I supposed to treat when crucial data's hidden away? I'm standing here with patients waiting. Their care depends on what I know. But all I see are error messages and loading screens that crawl so slow. I can't see my patients in the system. Their history's vanishing before my eyes. I can't see my patients in the system as support tickets multiply. Paper charts pulled from storage, backup processes now in place. I can't see my patients in the system, and time is what we cannot waste. Medication orders frozen, vital signs refusing to save. Scheduled treatments disappearing. This isn't what we were promised, what they gave. The Millennium coaches look as lost as we are. The workarounds from yesterday don't work. How many ways can a system fail when lives depend on it not to shirk? We're standing here with patients needing treatments, medications, and care. But all we get are system failures and support lines that go nowhere. I can't see my patients in the system. Their history's vanishing before my eyes. I can't see my patients in the system as support tickets multiply. Paper charts pulled from storage, backup processes now in place. I can't see my patients in the system, and time is what we cannot waste.
Den växande kön av supportärenden uppgick klockan 19.10 om tillräckligt, vilket överbelastade supporten och skapade en situation där kritiska problem inte kunde åtgärdas i tid.
I was trained to be the expert, to guide them through this change. But the system keeps evolving in ways I can't explain. The workarounds keep changing. What worked last hour now fails, and I can see the trust dissolving as patient care derails.
600 tickets and still climbing, problems faster than solutions found. Medication module crashing, radiography data not coming through. Emergency rooms reverting to paper, and we're only on day 2.
Do we alert the regional director?
Do we admit the scope of our distress?
Or do we maintain the narrative
that these are normal growing pains at best?
We can't see our patients in the system. Their history's vanishing before our eyes. We can't see our patients in the system as faith and technology die. Paper charts pulled from storage, manual process is now our guide. We can't see our patients in the system, and patient safety's compromised.
Day 2 of the future that was promised so bright. But I can't help my patients if the data's out of sight. How long can we function when the system denies the information we need to keep our patients alive?
Day 2 of the future that was promised so bright. But I can't help my patients if their data's out of sight. How long can we function when the system denies the information we need to keep our patients alive?
Attention all departments. Due to ongoing technical issues, please implement paper backup procedures according to your department's contingency plan. Millennium support teams are working to resolve these issues. Thank you for your patience.
That's it. I'm calling an emergency department meeting. We need to document these issues formally before something catastrophic happens.
What exactly are you planning?
Every patient safety near miss, every data loss, every workflow disruption, all of it needs to be recorded, not just as IT tickets, but as potential clinical incidents. This isn't just a technical problem anymore.
Dr. Bergman, we can't access any of the radiology reports from yesterday. The integration with Sectra seems to be failing completely.
What? Those reports contain critical diagnostic information.
The radiologists say there's some kind of text formatting issue. Parts of the reports are being truncated when they're transferred to Millennium.
Get on the phone to radiology right now. Tell them to fax paper copies of all yesterday's reports to each relevant department. Then contact the command center and tell them this is a critical patient safety issue.
We're getting multiple reports about the Sectra integration. Reports are showing incomplete data with critical sections missing.
Show me the error logs. This is serious. The integration is dropping sections of text completely. It's not just a display issue. The data isn't being transferred correctly.
Radiology needs to implement full paper backup immediately. And I want a full technical analysis of this integration by end of day.
Our team is already working on it. This might be an issue on Sectra's end, not ours.
I don't care whose end it is. This is a critical diagnostic system, and right now it's putting patients at risk.
Command center, yes. I understand. I'll inform the leadership immediately. That was the hospital director. They're receiving formal complaints from multiple department heads about system performance and missing data. They're asking about fallback options.
We need to prepare contingency plans in case we need to pause certain modules. Thomas, I need your team's honest assessment, not corporate reassurance. Can these issues be resolved in the next 24 hours?
Some can. Others will take longer. The Sectra integration in particular is complex.
Then I need to brief the regional director. By this time tomorrow, we'll be at a decision point.
Support ticket count just past 615.
As day 2 drew to a close, the promise of stabilization had proven illusory. Instead, problems were multiplying, and healthcare workers were increasingly resorting to paper-based workarounds just to maintain patient care. With 615 open support tickets and growing frustration across all departments, the third day would prove decisive for the future of Millennium in Västra Götalandsregionen. November 14th, 2024. Day 3. The breaking point. November 14th, 2024. Day 3. By morning, the situation had deteriorated significantly. Support ticket count had risen to 768, and critical new problems were emerging. A hastily convened crisis meeting brought together representatives from all stakeholders to assess the viability of continuing with the Millennium implementation.
I've just received disturbing reports from the board. Multiple hospital directors are demanding immediate action. Lena, give us the current status.
The situation is critical. We have 768 open support tickets, and we're falling further behind on resolutions. But the most serious development is the Sectra integration failure.
Failure is an understatement. Radiological reports are being truncated. Critical diagnostic information is being lost between systems. We've confirmed at least 12 instances where important clinical findings were missing from reports viewed in Millennium.
Are you saying patient diagnoses could be affected?
I'm saying they already have been. We caught these instances through redundant paper processes, but there's no guarantee we're catching everything. This is an unacceptable patient safety risk.
Our teams have been working around the clock on this issue. We believe we've identified the root cause in the text parsing module.
The fix will require a code change to the core integration engine. Conservative estimate for testing and deployment is 72 hours, assuming no further complications.
Meanwhile, our training materials are becoming obsolete as workarounds and patches change the system behavior. The Millennium coaches are completely overwhelmed.
I've already had 2 senior physicians submit formal protests. They're refusing to use the system for critical care documentation until these issues are resolved. They cite their professional obligation to protect patient safety.
How widespread are these sentiments?
Growing by the hour. Staff are reverting to paper charts and manual processes wherever possible.
We need to make a decision. Do we continue with the implementation as is, implement partial rollbacks of problematic modules, or pause the entire implementation?
Vanishing in digital space. Radiological findings truncated away, putting diagnoses and treatments at risk. Every hour brings new failures to light. Every shift brings more errors to fight. The timeline we maintained has brought us to this brink. 3 days of chaos and we stand at the edge. 3 days of chaos, technical nightmares unfold. 700 tickets and more coming in. Integration failures we can't quickly resolve. The foundation is cracking beneath our feet. Each fix creates 3 new problems we find. Each patch disrupts processes down the line. The system we deployed was never truly ready. 3 days of chaos and we face the abyss. How do we justify continuing on? How do we safeguard the patients in our care? When does the cost of persistence outweigh the price of admitting failure? 3 days of chaos, the breaking point has come. 3 days of chaos, the warning signs ignored. 3 days of chaos, the moment of decision to face reality or risk something worse. 3 days of chaos have brought us to our knees. 3 days of chaos, the warning signs ignored. 3 days of chaos, leadership, decisions weigh. Do we continue with the system that betrays? Do we roll back specific module and wait? Or pause it all until stability's achieved? Patient safety must be our highest call. Professional ethics demand we stand tall. The timeline we maintained has now become our prison. 3 days of chaos force us to choose. Years Kabla in 200 million spent, political capital invested, expectations raised, promises made. Can we really admit defeat? Lives are at stake here, that's all that matters now. Each moment we delay is a moment we betray our oath to protect those under our care.
These problems can be fixed given time and resources. Every system has its growing pains. This is not the disaster you portray, just temporary setbacks we can solve with patience.
The evidence is clear, the numbers don't lie. 768 tickets and counting, critical functions failing, patient data at risk. This cannot continue as is. 3 days of chaos, the breaking point has come. 3 days of chaos, the warning signs ignored. 3 days of chaos, the moment of decision to face reality or risk something worse. 3 days of chaos have forced our hand at last. The time has come to make the call, to put patient safety first of all. 3 days is all it took to see this system isn't what it should be. We must pause, regroup, and face the truth. 3 days of chaos have shown us what to do.
You're recommending we pause the implementation.
Yes, the evidence is overwhelming. With the Sectra integration failure alone, we have a clear patient safety issue that cannot be immediately resolved.
If we pause now, we lose critical momentum. Users will resist returning to the system even more strongly after a rollback.
That's a management concern. Patient safety is a medical and ethical imperative.
Even if we worked around the clock, we couldn't stabilize all the critical issues in less than a week. And each day, we continue accumulates more data that would need reconciliation during any future restart.
Anders resigned. The political fallout will be significant.
It will be worse if we continue and experience a serious patient safety incident. We need to pause, regroup, and ensure the system is truly ready before proceeding.
My medical staff will support this decision. They've been advocating for it already.
Very well. Effective immediately, we will pause the implementation of Millennium. Lena, prepare a formal notification to all departments. Technical team, develop a rollback protocol to restore critical systems. Thomas, I need your team's full cooperation in this transition.
Of course, we'll support whatever decision is made. But I want to emphasize that this pause will introduce significant complexities for the eventual restart.
Everyone, I need your complete focus for the next 48 hours. This rollback needs to be as organized as possible. We'll establish a command center specifically for the transition. All department heads need to be notified immediately so they can prepare their staff.
We'll need clear instructions for the interim period. Which systems are we reverting to? How do we handle patient data that was entered into Millennium over the past 3 days?
That's our most urgent technical challenge. We need to ensure no patient data is lost in the transition.
I'll inform the regional board and prepare a public statement. This is not the outcome any of us wanted, but it's necessary.
The timeline led us here. We should have paused months ago when we saw the warning signs.
Perhaps, but we'll need to look forward now. A thorough investigation will be necessary to understand exactly what went wrong and why.
On November 15, 2024, just 3 days after its launch, the Millennium system implementation was officially paused across the Västra Götalandsregionen. The formal announcement cited technical stability concerns and patient safety considerations as the primary reasons. As healthcare facilities scrambled to revert to their previous systems, regional leadership began the process of commissioning an independent investigation to understand the causes of this extraordinary failure. 200 million euros and 6 years of work had culminated in just 72 hours of operational chaos. Late November 2024. The aftermath. Late November 2024. As the dust settled from the Millennium implementation pause, a somber meeting was convened at VGR headquarters. Representatives from all stakeholders gathered to begin understanding what had gone wrong and what lessons could be learned from the 200 million euro project that lasted just 3 days in production.
Thank you all for coming. As you know, the regional board has commissioned an independent investigation into the Millennium implementation. KPMG will conduct a thorough review of all aspects of the program. Today, I wanted us to have an informal discussion about our initial reflections before the formal process begins.
I've been thinking about this constantly since we made the decision to pause. There were so many warning signs, so many moments when we could have changed course.
The physicians tried to warn you. We published our concerns publicly because our internal warnings weren't being heard.
We heard them. We just interpreted them as resistance to change rather than substantive concerns about readiness.
The gateway process was designed to prevent exactly this kind of failure, but we systematically undermined it by approving each gateway despite incomplete criteria.
The training materials were never adequate. We were trying to teach people to use a system that was still being built.
Millennium has been successfully implemented worldwide. The challenges here were unique to the Swedish healthcare context and the specific implementation approach.
Whatever the causes, the impact has been significant. The rollback to our legacy systems wasn't seamless. There's been data reconciliation issues, staff frustration, and a genuine loss of trust.
I think we need to acknowledge the central issue. The timeline became more important than everything else. More important than quality, than readiness, than patient safety. The timeline must be maintained became almost a mantra that couldn't be questioned.
€200 million spent, 6 years of constant planning. 3 days was all it took to fall, the system barely spanning. A single weekend in our care before we had to call it there. Now pause and reflect on what led us astray. The timeline's carved in granite stone, more sacred than the purpose. The warnings coming thick and fast, but still we couldn't surface. From underneath the weight of dates, the pressure never abating. Now pause and reflect on what we prioritize. When did the date become more important than the goal? When did the plan eclipse the people it was meant to serve? When did we stop listening to those raising alarms? When did we lose sight of what matters most? Pause and reflect on the paths we have taken. Pause and reflect on the choices we made. Pause and reflect on the warnings unheeded. Time to face truth, no more masquerade. Lessons written in digital failure. Lessons paid for in trust and in care. Pause and reflect before moving forward, or we're doomed to repeat what happened there. Patient safety compromised by rushing implementation. The system wasn't ready yet, despite each attestation that all was well, proceed ahead, despite what testing clearly said. Now pause and reflect on what we put at risk. Gateways meant to guard the path were systematically bypassed. Incomplete criteria approved. The quality controls collapsed. Complex systems need respect, not deadlines set in marble. Now pause and reflect on what we overlooked. Multiplication from competency. When did the day become more sacred than the deed? When did we stop seeing the people behind the screens? When did we forget what healthcare really means? Tidsplanen fick en överordnad betydelse på bekostnad av kvalitet och beredskap i mottagaren och reaktion. Det har varit en starkt medverkande faktor för utfallet efter Go Live. Tidsplanen fick en överordnad betydelse på bekostnad av kvalitet och beredskap i mottagande och kan vi stop correlate. Pause and reflect on the paths we have taken. Pause and reflect on the choices we made. Pause and reflect on the warnings unheeded. Time to face truth, no more masquerade. Lessons written in digital failure. Lessons paid for in trust and in care. Pause and reflect before moving forward, or we're doomed to repeat what happened there. Systems work when properly prepared. When users are ready and the ground is cleared. This wasn't a failure of technology alone, but a process of people, of haste that we've shown. The next attempt must honor truth, must listen to the voices on the ground, must value safety over schedules, must build on firmer ground. Pause and reflect on the paths we have taken. Pause and reflect on the choices we made. Pause and reflect on the warnings unheeded. Time to face truth, no more masquerade. Lessons written in digital failure. Lessons paid for in trust and in care. Pause and reflect before moving forward, or history will judge us as unprepared. We pause, we reflect, we learn, we correct. The journey's not over, the mission remains, but we'll never again say the timeline must be maintained.
I've spent my career believing that strong leadership means setting ambitious targets and holding firm to them. It's difficult to admit that this approach failed so dramatically here.
The timeline was always important, but somewhere along the way, it became untouchable, sacred even. We stopped asking, "Are we ready?" and only asked, "How do we stay on schedule?"
If anything positive comes from this experience, it should be recognition that healthcare transformation requires genuine partnership between administration, clinical staff, and technology experts. No one perspective is sufficient alone.
For the next attempt, we need to rethink the implementation strategy completely. The Big Bang approach magnified every problem. A more gradual rollout with real-world testing would have revealed these issues before they affected the entire region.
And proper training with stable materials and adequate time. The staff were never given a fair chance to succeed with this system.
Oracle Cerner remains committed to working with VGR on a successful implementation. We have valuable lessons from this experience that can inform a revised approach.
The formal investigation will take months, but we shouldn't wait to begin integrating these lessons. Every digital transformation project in the public sector should study what happened here. 200 million euros in 6 years of work deserves at least that legacy.
In March 2025, KPMG would deliver their comprehensive report on the Millennium implementation failure. The findings would confirm what many already knew, that timeline worship trumped quality assurance, that warnings were systematically ignored, and that organizational complexity hindered effective communication. The report would become required reading for public sector technology projects across Scandinavia, a cautionary tale of how not to manage digital transformation. As for Millennium itself, its future in Swedish healthcare remained uncertain, a 200 million euro question mark hovering over the digital landscape of Västra Götaland. Digital transformation projects continue across the public sector worldwide. Healthcare, education, transportation, all seek the efficiency and connectivity that comprehensive new systems promise. Yet as technology advances, the fundamental challenges remain stubbornly human. The tension between ambition and practicality, between political timelines and operational realities, between the promise of progress and the complexities of change. The question remains, will we ever learn?
Collaboration is our strength. 3 regions standing tall. Collaboration is our path. One solution for all. Collaboration makes us strong. United we won't fall. Collaboration is the key. Answering the call. Our systems proven across the globe. Adaptable, flexible, easy to mold. To Swedish requirements and Nordic code. The perfect foundation on which to build. Together we'll shape it. Together we'll grow. The seamless solution that will help you flow. Collaboration is our strength. 3 regions standing tall. Collaboration is our path. One solution for all. Collaboration makes us strong. United we won't fall. Collaboration is the key. Answering the call.
VGR hade en hög grad av virtualisering, vilket påverkade systemets prestanda, då det ursprungligen inte var konstruerat för en virtualiserad miljö. Brist på tydliga integrationskontrakt som specifierar system och komponenter som ska interagera med varandra gjorde det svårt att förstå. Integrationerna skulle utformas. Our patients have needs that may not align. Our processes differ, we need more time. The technical landscape isn't the same. Perhaps we should reconsider this consideration. Stockholm must chart its own path. We wish you luck with your implementation. But will we pursuing a different track? No! We need to stay united. The timeline's already been decided. The suppliers are counting on our word. This setback is completely absurd. Collaboration was our strength. Two regions standing small. Collaboration was our path. One solution for most. Collaboration made us strong. United, we won't. Don't worry about Stockholm's departure. The vision remains just as strong. Västra Götaland can lead the way forward. With Skåne still coming along. It's better to move with conviction than stall.